broadcast of Georgetown Eagles playoff baseball on SHN Sports is brought to you through the generosity of an anonymous donor. Our most sincere thanks go out to this donor. We would also like to thank Mesquite Creek Outfitters, Pokey Joe's, Ideal Signs, and DL Printing for their sponsorship of Eagles baseball. A special thanks goes out to the Georgetown Baseball Boosters. Your support of these broadcasts is greatly appreciated.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to SHN Sports presentation of Georgetown Eagle Baseball. We're live here at Mumford, Texas, home of the Mustangs, the host of this quarterfinal matchup between the Lake Creek Lions and your Georgetown Eagles. I'm Wally Harmon alongside the producer that makes it all run, my wife, Jerry Ann. And we're here in Mumford. The Lady Eagles on the field right behind us. Last checked was up. We're up 7-0 going into the bottom of the sixth inning. And so hopefully they'll finish off that best of three series in the regional semifinals and advance on to the regional finals. So the Lady Eagles playing right behind us, and now the Eagles will get ready here for game number 2. Last night, through 6 2/3 innings, Georgetown, or 5 2/3 innings, Georgetown had a great game going. They had a 2-1 lead, and then things just kind of imploded for the Eagles, and they end up losing at 11-2. Over in game 1. They were the home team. So tonight it is a must-win situation for Georgetown as they play the Lake Creek Lions in game number 2. If Lake Creek wins, they advance to take on the winner of Fulshire and see who it is, Fulshire and LaPorte. And if Georgetown were to win tonight, then we go to game 3 tomorrow afternoon here back at Mumford High School at 2 p.m. The Eagles are the visitors here in game number 2. They'll be in the gray uniforms with the Georgetown blue numbers and lettering, blue caps, blue socks, and they'll be out of the first base dugout as the visitors here in game number 2. The Lake Creek Lions will be the home team in the third base dugout. They have on the cream pants, the navy blue uniforms with Lions in script lettering across the front. Their numbers on the back in the gold outlined in white, the navy blue caps and the navy blue and gold stirrups, and they are the home team. Approaching home plate head coach Jeremy Schramm, along with head coach Jordan Vieira of the Georgetown Eagles, the 4-man umpire crew out at home plate for the meeting here as they get ready to get things going in Mumford, Texas for game number 2. Lake Creek comes into the ball game 24-9 on the year after the win last night, and they finished 11-3 in district play in District 21. Your Georgetown Eagles come in 24-14-1 on the year. 13-1 was their record in district play back in District 23. The Lake Creek Lions head coach Jeremy Schramm, the assistant coaches Sean Gehring, Larry Watson, and Dylan Larson. Lake Creek High School out of Montgomery ISD, Dr. Heath Morrison, the superintendent, the athletic director Clint Hurd, Lake Creek High School principal Tim Williams, the athletic coordinator Pat Kennedy, athletic trainer Latoya Hassett, and Andrew Marino. And now it's time to go and get a word from G-Town Lumber and Supply with tonight's starting lineups.
Today's starting lineups are brought to you by G-Town Lumber and Supply. G-Town Lumber and Supply, located at 9400 Brown Lane in Austin, Texas, serves general contractors, subcontractors, and do-it-yourselfers. We specialize in dimensional lumber, decking, siding, door and windows, hand-hewn timbers, KDAT lumber, and corbels. Hometown service like none other. Visit us at 9400 Brown Lane in Austin, Texas, or visit our website at gtownlumberandsupply.com.
The Lake Creek Lions will go this way as selected by head coach Jeremy Schramm, the home team here in game number 2. Leading it off playing second base, number 3, Austin Wiederhold. Batting second, the right fielder, number 4, James Kennedy. Batting third, the shortstop, number 7, Blake Brown. Batting fourth, the center fielder, number 2, Sam Lee. Batting fifth, the first baseman, number 24, Ethan Uribe. Batting sixth, the third baseman, number 10, Samson Pugh. Batting seventh, the designated hitter, number 8, Wyatt Davis. Batting eighth, the left fielder, number 18, Leighton Scott. And batting ninth, the catcher, number 23, Parker Smith. So for the Lions, it'll be Wiederhold, Kennedy, and Brown, Lee, Uribe, and Pugh, Davis, Scott, and Smith. On the mound for the Lake Creek Lions will be the senior number 11, Jackson Wilkerson. Wilkerson, the starting pitcher for the Lake Creek Lions. Georgetown comes into the ball game. Head coach Jordan Vieira, assistant coaches Chad Payne, David Durrell, and Mike Cockrell. Manager Jake Bachman, the sophomore, along with manager in baseball, Mr. Baseball, Jared Frimmel. As we miss him this week, he is in San Antonio. Student trainer Avery Mon, the freshman, Stat Girls, junior Carter Campbell, junior Grace King, and junior Nicole Witt, and freshman Ruby Hellman. Superintendent Emeritus for Georgetown ISD, Dr. Fred Brent, as he retires end of June. The interim superintendent for Georgetown ISD, Lindsay Harris, and the athletic director for the Independent School District in Georgetown is Jason Dean. The principal at Georgetown High School, Brian Johnson, assistant athletic coordinator is Coach Chuck Griffin, and the athletic trainers, Chad Hennessy and Vanessa Rideau. The Georgetown Eagles will go this way on the starting lineup as selected by head coach Jordan Vieira. Leading it off in center field, number 17, Devin Peterson. Batting second at third base, number 4, Brady Peters. Batting third and at second base, number 20, Talon Ball. Batting fourth, the first baseman, number 21, Riley Leiniger. Batting fifth, the shortstop, number 2, Eli Hellman. Batting sixth, the left fielder, number 11, Jackson Rainey. Batting seventh, the designated hitter tonight, number 16, Reese Herrera. Batting eighth, the catcher, number 7, Chance Pernicka. And batting ninth, number 8, the right fielder, Jacob Faltasek. So for the Eagles will be Peterson, Peters, and Ball, Leiniger, Hellman, Rainey, Herrera, Pernicka, and Faltasek in the batter's lineup. The starting pitcher for the Georgetown Eagles is the senior right-hander, number 12, Nolan Jondal. Jondal, the right-hander, will start things off on the mound for your Georgetown Eagles. We'll take a quick timeout. When we come back, we'll have the national anthem, and we'll bring you tonight's ball game here live on SHN. Thanks for joining us. We'll be right back. More Eagle baseball after this.
From Morrow broadcast booth is sponsored by our friend and longtime supporter Matt Morrow at borrowfrommorrow.com. Matt Morrow and his team is dedicated to providing the best mortgage experience possible by offering easy-to-use mortgage tools, including our handy mobile app, competitive rates, and assistance from a certified mortgage advisor. Matt understands the local markets, has access to a wide variety of loan programs, and is ready to guide you through the process. Your family, your future, our focus. For your mortgage needs, remember Matt Morrow, Borrow from Morrow. For more information, visit borrowfrommorrow.com. NMLS number 464148.
We're back here live at Mumford High School, home of the Mustangs, the site of this regional quarterfinal between the Lake Creek Lions and the Georgetown Eagles. They introduce the Lake Creek Lions as they take the field. And right after this, we will have the national anthem and then be underway with game number 2. It's a situation that Lake Creek wins it. They advance to the regional semifinals. If Georgetown wins it, we come back tomorrow at 2 p.m. for a third game of the series, the winner take all. But Georgetown has to take care of business tonight, win this one to make it to game 3 tomorrow, or Lake Creek will advance to the regional semifinals. A good ball game last night. I think everyone would agree. A great baseball game up through 5 2/3 innings. And then after that, Lake Creek got to celebrate a lot as they went on a run, 4 runs in the 6th inning, 6 in the 7th, and they won it 11-2 to take game 1 of this best-of-3 series. As they finish introducing the starting lineup for the Lake Creek Lions, we'll prepare for tonight's national anthem. If you'll join us when we come back, we'll get ready for first inning action here at the regional quarterfinals at Mumford High School between the Lake Creek Lions and the Georgetown Eagles. We'll be right back here on SHN. Back here live, Mumford High School, as the Lake Creek Lions go through warm-ups here to get ready for the top of the first inning. The left-handed senior pitcher, Jackson Wilkerson, warms up here for the Lions as he'll face off against the top 3 in the Eagle lineup, Devin Peterson, Brady Peters, and Talon Ball. Defensively for the Lions, Scott in left field, Lee in center, Kennedy in right field, Pugh at third base, Brown at shortstop, Wiederhold at second base, Uribe at first. Behind the plate, Parker Smith, and on the mound, the left-handed Jackson Wilkerson. Stepping in here is the junior center fielder, Devin Peterson, number 17. He'll step in from the right side for the first pitch of the ball game as Wilkerson gets a sign from Smith, and we're underway here at Mumford High School. First pitch, low, ball 1. Devin Peterson, the junior right fielder, kindly known as Bullseye here on the Eagle baseball team. 1 for 4 on the night last night with a run scored. Steps back in, the 1-0 pitch from Wilkerson. Down low, ball 2, 2-0 the count to Devin Peterson leading off here at the top of the first. The Georgetown Lady Eagles advance to the regional finals after a big win and a 2-game sweep over Santa Fe High School. And right behind us over at the Mumford High School softball field. Wilkerson from the windup, the 2-0 pitch. A swing and a miss, strike 1. 2 balls and a strike now to Devin Peterson. Leading it off here at the top of the first. Both crowds have come in. A nice full crowd here at Mumford High School. Out in the middle of nowhere. Wilkerson gets the sign from Smith from the windup, the 2-1 delivery. The bender catches the inside corner, called strike 2, and now a 2-2 count. To Devin Peterson here, leading off the top of the first here in game number 2 of this best-of-3 series. Lake Creek won game 1 last night. Georgetown has to win tonight to force it to game 3 tomorrow. Otherwise, the Lake Creek Lions advance. The 2-2 pitch hit out towards second base. It skips into the glove of the second baseman Wiederholt, and he'll throw to first base in time for out number 1. 4-3 on the putout to retire Peterson. And that'll bring up the third baseman, number 4, Brady Peters. The senior third baseman, Brady Peters, will step in from the right side with 1 out and the base is empty here in the top of the first. Last night, Peters 0 for 2 of the ball game. Sack bunt laid down in the first inning, walked in the third, struck out twice. Steps in here for his first plate appearance in game number 2. Wilkerson to look in from the windup, the first pitch to Peters. On the outside corner, called strike 1. 0-1 count to Brady Peters. Peters back in for the right side. Wilkerson from the windup, the 0-1 pitch. And breaking ball, swing and a miss, strike 2. 0-2 now the count to Brady Peters. Coach Jordan Vieira down at the third base coaching box. David Durrell, the assistant coach, down at first base for the Eagles. Peters back in. Wilkerson, a deep breath on the mound, comes set. Now from the windup, the 0-2 pitch. Down low in the turf. Nice block there by Smith. The ball called there, and 1-2 the count now. Brady Peters, the talon ball, the second baseman on deck. Ranger steps back in from the right side, comes set. Wilkerson looks in and gets the sign. Works from the third base side of the rubber from the windup, the 1-2 pitch. Inside corner, called strike 3. Brady Peters down for out number 2 on the strikeout looking. That'll bring up Talon Ball with 2 outs here in the top of the first inning. Ten of the 27 outs recorded of Georgetown hitters last night came from the strikeout variety. 9 strikeouts for the starting pitcher, Weston Moss. And then Pakowski came in and got a strikeout in the 7th. First pitch to Talon Ball. He lays off and takes the breaking pitch for a called strike. 0-1 to count to Talon Ball. Mighty Mouse, the second baseman, steps back in for the right side with 2 outs and the base is empty. Wilkerson looks in and gets a sign from Smith. From the windup, the 0-1 pitch. Low and inside, ball 1. Count evens up to 1-1 now. Riley Leininger, the first baseman on deck for the Eagles. Should Talon Ball be able to extend the inning. Beautiful night. Partly cloudy. Sun is behind the clouds. The 1-1 pitch. Talon Ball up the middle. It's going to get into center field and a 2-out single as the base runner aboard for the Georgetown Eagles. Mighty Mouse starts it off here with a 2-out single. And that'll bring up the big left-handed hitting first baseman, junior Riley Leininger. He'll step in from the left side with 2 outs and a runner at first base. The national anthem makes me remember, thank you to all of our military troops, our first responders, for serving our communities and our country and keeping us safe and giving us the freedoms to do what we do and enjoy a game of baseball like this on a beautiful Friday night. Thank you so much to our men and women in uniform all across. The throw over to first base, not in time as Talon Ball dives back in. The lefty Wilkerson threw while he was off the mount, off the rubber. Nice pickoff attempt there. And Talon Ball scrambles back. Ball will lead off first base. Uribe will hold him on. As Wilkerson out of the stretch, a look at first base. The first pitch to Leininger. Inside, ball 1. 1-0 the count to Riley Leininger. Last night, Leininger 0 for 2 in the ball game. Walked to the first inning, flew out in the 3rd, struck out in the 5th inning. Steps in here with 2 outs and a runner at first. Another throw over to first base. Talon Ball dives back in. Safely under the tag by Uribe. Wilkerson works in the stretch from the third base side of the rubber. A wide open stance before he comes set. Gets the sign and comes set now. The 2-0 pitch stays high. Should be 2-0. I don't have it 3-0. It is 3-0. I missed one. I apologize. So now the count, 3 balls and no strikes to Riley Leiniger with 2 outs and a runner at first base. No, it is 2-0. There we go. That's what I thought. I didn't think I missed one. He had the throw over. So the count, just 2 balls and no strikes to Riley Leiniger. Wilkerson will come set in the stretch. The 2-0 pitch. It's in on the inside corner for a called strike. 2 balls and 1 strike. Now the count to the junior first baseman, Riley Leiniger. 3:15 down the lines, 370 dead center field on the all-turf field turf surface here at Mumford High School. As Wilkerson looks in and gets the sign from Smith, comes set to throw over to first base, and that one is super close, but Talon Ball just gets back in. Hopefully the Eagles are learning a lot here as Wilkerson doesn't waste time to come set. He'll throw from the open stance before coming set in the stretch. Talon Ball gets a big-size lead. Another throw over. That one's late, too, as Talon Ball dives back in. So a lot of attention being paid to Talon Ball at first base, trying to keep him close. Has a 2-1 count to Riley Leiniger, the left-handed hitting first baseman. Wilkerson will get the sign and come set now in the stretch. A look at first base. The 2-1 pitch on the outside corner misses. The throw into center field. Talon Ball still second base, and now he'll advance to third on the throwing error by the catcher, Parker Smith. And now the Eagles have 2 outs and a 3-1 count to Riley Leiniger and a runner just 90 feet away. The first error of the ball game for the Lions is a stolen base for Talon Ball, and then an E2 allows him to move up to third base. So a first stolen base of the ball game. And now Wilkerson will go back to the windup with a 3-1 count to Riley Leiniger. The 3-1 pitch. And that breaking pitch is in there for a called strike, and now a full count to Riley Leiniger with 2 outs and a runner at third base here in the top of the first. Half the stands full with navy blue and gold, and half the stands full with the Georgetown blue and gray. And a called strike 3, low and outside corner. Leiniger strikes out for out number 3, and the Eagles are retired here in the top of the first. No runs on 1 hit, 1 error, and 1 runner left on base. After half an inning, Georgetown 0, Lake Creek coming up to bat. More Eagle baseball after this on SHN.
The first inning of today's game is brought to you by BorrowFromMorrow.com. Matt Morrow and his team is dedicated to providing the best mortgage experience possible by offering easy-to-use mortgage tools, including our handy mobile app, competitive rates, and assistance from a certified mortgage advisor. Matt understands the local markets, has access to a wide variety of loan programs, and is ready to guide you through the process. Your family, your future, our focus. For your mortgage needs, remember Matt Morrow, Borrow from Morrow. For more information, visit BorrowFromMorrow.com. NMLS number 464148.
And we're back here at Mumford High School. We go to the bottom of the first inning. Georgetown 4 up, 3 down as Talon Ball got the 2-out single, stole second base, advanced to third on the throwing error by Parker Smith into center field. But then is left stranded there as Riley Leiniger strikes out for out number 3. Wilkerson ends the inning with 2 strikeouts in the top of the first. 18 pitches thrown by Wilkerson there in the first inning. And now Nolan Jondahl takes the field and the mound for your Georgetown Eagles. Facing off against Austin Wiederhold, James Kennedy, and Blake Brown to start things off for the Lake Creek Lions. Defensively for the Eagles, Jackson Rainey in left field, Devin Peterson in center, Jacob Faltasek in right, Brady Peters at third base, Eli Hellman at shortstop, Talon Ball at second base, Riley Leiniger down at first base, Chance Pernica behind the plate, and the pitcher Nolan Jondahl on the mound from the windup. The first pitch to Wiederhold is in there. It's not in there. I guess it misses for a ball. Wiederhold, not of the super tall stature, takes it on the low side for ball 1. The 1-0 pitch is low and inside. Ball 2 as it goes off the shin guard of the umpire. And now a 2-0 count to Austin Wiederhold. He was 1 for 4 in the ballgame last night and also hit by a pitch as he led off the top of the lineup for the Lions last night as well. The 2-0 pitch from Jondahl, inside corner, called strike 1. take that one for ball one. Change him out, call it even. 2-1 now the count to Austin Wiederholt, the second baseman from the left side. John Dahl gets the sign, the 2-1 pitch. Up and away, ball three. And now a 3-1 count to start off the number one hitter for the Lake Creek Lions. John Dahl gets the sign from Pernica from the windup, the 3-1 pitch. Ground ball hit out towards second base. Talon Ball will charge, pick it up, throw to first in time for out number one. 4-3 on the putout to retire Wiederholt. And that'll bring up the number two hitter in the lineup, the right fielder, number 4, James Kennedy. He was 0 for 4 in the ballgame last night, was also hit by a pitch. As he steps in here with one out and the base is empty in the bottom of the first. Kennedy came around to score 1 run in the 7th inning, one of the 6 as well. As he steps in here from the right side. John Dahl from the windup, works from the first base side of the rubber. First pitch to Kennedy, swings and fouls it off, back to the backstop. 0-1 the count to the right fielder, James Kennedy. Blake Brown on deck, the number 3 hitter in the Lions lineup, the shortstop. James Kennedy back in for the right side. John Dahl gets the sign, and from the windup, the 0-1 pitch. Low and outside, ball one, the count evens up. As Johnny Cash comes to mind as the train passes by. I hear the train coming. The 1-1 pitch, low and outside, ball 2. John Dahl falls behind Kennedy. 2 balls and a strike here with 1 out in the bottom of the first. And base is empty for the Lions. From the windup, the 2-1 pitch. The ball sent into right field. Faltasek takes a few steps back. And to his left, settles under it, makes the catch for out number 2. F9 in the book to retire Kennedy. And that'll bring up the number 3 hitter in the Lions lineup, the shortstop, number 7, Blake Brown. 0 for 3 in the ballgame last night. Walked 1 time, scored a run. Steps in here with 2 outs and a base is empty. Brown steps in from the right side. John Dahl looks in and gets a sign from Pernica, the first pitch to Brown. Breaking pitch in there, called strike 1. Beautiful breaking ball by John Dahl. And the 0-1 count to Blake Brown, the shortstop for the Lions. John Dahl gets the sign, the 0-1 pitch. Breaking pitch just misses the outside corner. And the count evens up at 1 ball and 1 strike. 2 outs here in the bottom of the first. Georgetown 4 up, 3 down in the top of the first. Left a man stranded at third base. And now the Lions 2 outs and the base is empty as Blake Brown steps back in with a 1-1 count. John Dahl from the windup. And a fly ball sent down the right field line, and it is going to curl out of play. And now Brown will be behind in the count. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Here in the bottom of the first inning of this regional quarterfinal, the Lake Creek Lions out of Montgomery, Texas, and the Montgomery ISD. The home team here in game number 2 out of the third base dugout. The Georgetown Eagles, the visitors, down out of the first base dugout out of Georgetown, Texas. The 1-2 pitch from John Dahl, and a ball popped up right side of the infield. Leininger gives chase, but it's going to curl out of play. And Blake Brown will stay alive in the at-bat. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Brown takes a deep breath, now settles back in the box from the right side as John Dahl gets a sign from Chance Pernica. From the windup, the 1-2 offering. Low and outside, ball 2, and the count evens up. 2-2 now to Brown. On deck, Sam Lee, the center fielder for the Lions here in the bottom of the first. John Dahl from the windup, the 2-2 pitch. Fly ball down the right field line, curls out of play into the parking lot. Off the bus. And a nice at-bat here by Blake Brown. Next pitch will be the 7th of the at-bat. He'll see from Nolan John Dahl. John Dahl from the windup, the 2-2 pitch. Outside corner, where it missed, we don't know, but he's going to call it ball number 3. The only thing you ask for is the top and bottom. Coach Pierre, give it a shout out to the home plate umpire. Ask him where that one is. He's lined up in the right side batter's box and did not give that outside corner. Now a full count, the payoff pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Now it doesn't matter as John Dahl strikes out the third hitter, Blake Brown, for out number 3. And the first inning has come to a close. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left on base. After 1 complete inning, Georgetown 0, Lake Creek 0. More Eagle baseball after this on SHN.
This broadcast of Georgetown Eagles playoff baseball on SHN Sports is brought to you through the generosity of an anonymous donor. Our most sincere thanks go out to this donor. We would also like to thank Mesquite Creek Outfitters, Pokey Joe's, Ideal Signs, and DL Printing for their sponsorship of Eagles baseball. A special thanks goes out to the Georgetown baseball boosters. Your support of these broadcasts is greatly appreciated.
Back here at Mumford High School, the site of the regional quarterfinal between the Lake Creek Lions and the Georgetown Eagles, Mumford Mustangs. Beautiful complex here in the middle of nowhere, Mumford, Texas, out in the middle of the pastures with the oil derricks and the cows nearby. But a beautiful field complex, beautiful school here at Mumford High School in Mumford, Texas. And we go to the top of the second inning. Jackson Wilkerson on for a second inning of work, and he'll face off against the 5, 6, and 7 hitters, Hellman, Rainey, and Herrera. Hellman steps in for the first pitch from Wilkerson. And that one misses low and inside, ball 1. Eli Hellman feeling a lot better tonight. Last night was still recovering. Has been sick all week. And so the shortstop back in tonight looked a lot better. We talked before the game. So hopefully a better night for Eli. The 1-0 pitch down low, ball 2. One of the biggest scrappers on this team. The shortstop for the state champions last year, and one of the key leaders on this ball club this year is Eli. Steps back in here to lead off the top of the second. 2 balls and no strikes, the 2-0 pitch, and fouled off back to the screen. 2 balls and a strike now to Eli Hellman. Jackson Rainey, the left fielder. Reese Herrera, the designated hitter, also due up here in the top of the second. Wilkerson threw 18 pitches in the top of the first inning. Struck out 2, allowed 1 hit, but stranded 1 runner as he works here in the top of the second. The 2-1 pitch to Hellman. Inside corner, called strike 2. And now an even count, 2 balls and 2 strikes to Eli Hellman. Hellman back in for the right side. Wilkerson from the windup gets the sign, and from the windup, the 2-2 pitch. Strike 3 called for out number 1. Third strikeout, all of the looking variety for Wilkerson. Retires Hellman for out number 1. And in steps number 11, the left fielder, Jackson Rainey. He'll step in from the left side. Rainey 1 for 3 on the night last night with a stolen base and a run scored. The Georgetown Lady Eagles join us up in the stands after going 2-0 to sweep their regional semifinal. The first pitch to Rainey. Swing and a miss, strike 1. On the big breaking ball from Jackson Wilkerson. The Lady Eagles advance to the regional finals with a 2-game sweep over the Santa Fe Indians. The 0-1 pitch to Rainey. Outside corner, called strike 2. 0-2 the count now to Jackson Rainey. 1 out here in the top of the second with the bases empty. Rainey back in from the left side. Wilkerson will get the sign from the windup. The 0-2 pitch. Outside and high, ball 1. 1-2 now the count. Nice spot to miss there on the 0-2. See if he can get Rainey to chase the fastball up and away. Rainey holds off, and now the count 1 ball and 2 strikes. Rainey will choke up on the bat as he steps in from the left side. Ready to go. Wilkerson from the windup, the 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3 for out number 2. Strikeout number 4 of the ball game for Wilkerson. And that'll bring up the designated hitter, number 16, Reese Herrera. Herrera, the junior, steps in. Last night, the first baseman for the Eagles. And Reese will step in here with the bases empty and 2 outs. Wilkerson from the windup, the first pitch to Herrera. Swing and a miss, strike 1. Herrera back in from the right side. No balls, 1 strike with 2 outs. Wilkerson from the windup, the 0-1 pitch. Just misses for ball 1. 1-1 now the count. Wilkerson from the windup, the 1-1 pitch. Herrera lays off and takes it down on the turf. Check down to first base, say he didn't go, and now a 2-ball and 1-strike count to Reese Herrera with Chance Pernicka, the catcher, on deck for Georgetown. Here in the top of the second inning, a 0-0 score after 1 complete. Wilkerson, the lefty, from the windup, the 2-1 pitch. Low and inside. Ball 3, and now a 3-1 count to the DH, Reese Herrera. Wilkerson looks in and gets a sign from Parker Smith from the windup, the 3-1 pitch. And that breaking pitch catches the plate for a called strike. Now a full count to Reese Herrera with 2 outs here in the top of the second. From the windup, the payoff pitch. Strike 3 called, and Reese Herrera down on strikes. Wilkerson strikes out the side here in the top of the second. Georgetown's got to start swinging these bats. 5 strikeouts already out of 6 outs for Wilkerson and the Lions after an inning and a half. No score here on the ballgame. We go to the bottom of the second. Lake Creek coming up. More SHN Sports coverage of Georgetown Eagle baseball in a moment.
The second inning of today's game is brought to you by G-Town Lumber and Supply. G-Town Lumber and Supply, located at 9400 Brown Lane in Austin, Texas, serves general contractors, subcontractors, and do-it-yourselfers. We specialize in dimensional lumber, decking, siding, door and windows, hand-hewn timbers, KDAT lumber, and corbels. Hometown service like none other. Visit us at 9400 Brown Lane in Austin, Texas, or visit our website at gtownlumberandsupply.com.
Back here live, Mumford High School, as we go to the bottom of the second inning. Here in the game 2 of this best-of-3 series, Lake Creek out of Montgomery, Texas, leads the series 1-0 after 11-2 victory last night. All things were built up for a beautiful baseball game through a 5 2/3 innings. But that's where it fell apart for Georgetown, and Lake Creek capitalized with 10 runs in the last 2 innings. He took the 11-2 win. Nolan John Dahl back to the mound for his second inning of work. He'll face off against the 4, 5, and 6 hitters, Sam Lee, Ethan Uribe, and Samson Pugh for the Lions. 17 pitches through inning number 1, 1 strikeout, no hits allowed for John Dahl as he retired the Lions in order. Sam Lee steps in, 3 for 4 last night, a single, a double, and a triple with 1 strikeout. Scored 3 runs. John Dahl from the windup, the first pitch to Lee. Swing and a miss as he fouls it off the home plate umpire's mask for strike 1. No balls and 1 strike to Sam Lee, the center fielder. Steps back in from the right side. Gives the home plate umpire a second to adjust his mask back on straight. 0-1 to count to Sam Lee. The 0-1 pitch. Ground ball hit out to short. Hellman will backhand it to throw across the diamond. Beautiful throw. Nice play there from Eli Hellman. And 6-3 on the putout to retire Lee for out number 1. That'll bring up Ethan Uribe, the first baseman for the Lions. He'll step in from the right side. Wears number 24 last night. Uribe 0 for 1 in the ball game. Was walked 3 times. Reached on an error back in the 6th inning. Scored 2 runs. Steps in here with 1 out and the base is empty. John Dahl from the windup gets the sign. The first pitch to Uribe. Inside corner called strike 1. Uribe gets set, gets back in from the right side. John Dahl from the windup, the 0-1 pitch. And a ball slap foul down the first baseline, out of play. Now John Dahl ahead in the count, no balls and 2 strikes. From the windup, the 0-2 pitch to Uribe. Fly ball into center field, right center field. Devin Peterson ranges to his left, settles under it, makes the catch for out number 2. F8 in the book to retire Uribe. And that'll bring up the number 6 hitter in the lineup, number 10, Samson Pugh, the third baseman for the Lake Creek Lions. Pugh last night in the ballgame was 1 for 2 on the night, had an RBI sac fly in the 4th, walked in the 6th, and a triple in the 7th inning. Takes the first pitch for a ball, 1-0 the count to the third baseman. Pugh back in for the right side. John Dahl from the windup. The 1-0 pitch. Low and outside, ball 2. Pugh ahead in the count, 2-0 now. 2 outs here in the bottom of the second inning. The base is empty. John Dahl from the windup, the 2-0 pitch. Low and outside, ball 3. The 3-0 count now to Samson Pugh. The third baseman with the DH, Wyatt Davis, on deck for the Lions here in the bottom of the second inning. The 3-0 pitch. Right down Main Street for a called strike as Pugh was taking there. Now a 3-1 count. A hitter's count here for Pugh with 3-1 and 2 outs here in the bottom of the second. The base is empty. John Dahl from the windup, the 3-1 pitch. And a fly ball right side of the infield. Leininger is going to chase it in foul territory, but Pernica is going to call him off and make the catch for out number 3. P2 in the book to retire the Lions in order here in the bottom of the second. And after 2 complete innings, Georgetown and Lake Creek scoreless. 0-0. Back for more Eagle baseball after this on SHN.
This broadcast of Georgetown Eagles playoff baseball on SHN Sports is brought to you through the generosity of an anonymous donor. Our most sincere thanks go out to this donor. We would also like to thank Mesquite Creek Outfitters, Pokey Joe's, Ideal Signs, and DL Printing for their sponsorship of Eagles baseball. A special thanks goes out to the Georgetown Baseball Boosters. Your support of these broadcasts is greatly appreciated.
Back here at Mumford High School, we go to the top of the third inning. 0-0 score after 2 complete. Jackson Wilkerson on for his third inning of work for the Lions. 18 pitches thrown in inning number 1, 15 in inning number 2. Of the 6 outs of Georgetown Eagle batters, Wilkerson has struck out 5 of them. 4 of them looking. At strike number 3 as Chance Pernica will lead off. Here in the top of the third for Georgetown, the 8-9-1 hitters due up. Pernica, Faltasek, and Peterson. As Chance Pernica steps in. 1 for 3 on the night last night with an RBI single in the second and 2 flyouts to left field. The first pitch to Pernica stays high for ball 1. Wilkerson from the third base side of the rubber and the windup, the 1-0 pitch. That one's down low for ball 2. It squirts away from Parker Smith. 2-0 the count now to Chance Pernica. Jacob Faltasek on deck. Devin Peterson, the leadoff man, in the hole for the Eagles here in the top of the third. Pernica back in from the right side. Wilkerson from the windup, the 2-0 pitch. And sends one far down the left field line, but it's out of play off of a school bus. And 2 balls and 1 strike now to count to Chance Pernica. Wilkerson comes set, gets the sign from Smith from the windup, the 2-1 pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 2. The count evens out at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Here in the top of the third. Pernica comes set back in the right side. Wilkerson gets the sign, the 2-2 pitch. And a fly ball on the left side of the infield. Pugh gives way to the shortstop Brown. Into shallow left field. He'll make the catch for out number 1 to retire Pernica, P6 in the book. And that'll bring up the right fielder, number 8, Jacob Faltasek. Senior right fielder Faltasek will step in here with 1 out. The base is empty in the top of the third. Faltasek 0 for 2 in the game last night. Was hit by a pitch back in the second inning. Struck out in the fourth. Grounded out in the 7th. Sends the first pitch into center field, and that's going to be the second hit of the ball game for the Eagles. So Faltasek sees the pitch he likes right off the bat and deposits it into center field. The second hit of the ball game for the Eagles. And the second inning for the Eagles to have a base runner now here in the 3rd. As Talon Ball got the 2-out single back in the 1st, was left stranded at 3rd base. And now Devin Peterson will step in. The 1 out and a runner at 1st base. Peterson 0 for 1 in the ball game. Grounded out to 2nd base in the 1st inning. Steps in here in the top of the 3rd with 1 out and a runner on 1st. Wilkerson moves to the stretch. A throw over to 1st base, but Faltasek dives back in. The Eagles got a lot of looks at Wilkerson's move in the 1st inning. Talon Ball drew several throws in his time at 1st base. Wilkerson will come set in the stretch. A look at 1st base. The first pitch to Devin Peterson is outside for ball 1. 1 ball, no strikes to Peterson with 1 out. A runner at 1st base for the Eagles here in the top of the 3rd. Eagle fans making some noise here in the top of the 3rd. Wilkerson will come set. Uribe holds Faltasek on. The 1-0 pitch. Faltasek off and running. The throw down to 2nd base is high off the glove of Brown into center field. And that'll allow Faltasek to get into 3rd base. And now the Eagles another runner in scoring position just 90 feet away. That one off the glove of Blake Brown. They'll charge him with that error. As if he comes down with that, Faltasek safe at 2nd base, but only at 2nd base. But now for the 2nd time in 3 innings, the Eagles have a runner in scoring position at 3rd base. And the 2nd error of the ball game for the Lions. 1-1 to count to Devin Peterson. Wilkerson back in the windup, the 1-1 pitch. That was in there for a called strike. 1-2. Now the count to Devin Peterson with 1 out and a runner at 3rd. The Lions defense on the infield is up on the grass. Pugh at 3rd base, up on the grass, and Uribe. Shortstop and 2nd baseman. Back just a hair, maybe 2 steps off the grass. And now Peterson will call timeout and get himself reset. 1 ball, 2 strikes, with 1 out, and a runner at 3rd base for Georgetown here in the top of the 3rd. Wilkerson from the windup, the 1-2 pitch. Misses outside for ball 2. Seen that one called a strike already here in the ball game. I think Peterson thought he was rung up. And he gets a new life here with a 2-2 count. Wilkerson a deep breath, now comes set. The 2-2 pitch to Devin Peterson. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Peterson down on strikes for out number 2. 6 strikeout for Wilkerson. And that'll bring up Brady Peters with 2 outs here in the top of the 3rd. Brady 0 for 1 in the ballgame, struck out looking back in the 1st inning. Steps in here with a runner on 3rd and 2 outs. Wilkerson from the windup, the first pitch to Peters. Breaking ball in there for a called strike. No balls and 1 strike, the count to Peters. The senior 3rd baseman back in from the right side. Ranger gets set as Wilkerson from the windup, the 0-1 pitch. Down low for ball 1, 1-1 to count. The depth between home plate and the wall here is a big one. So any pass ball or wild pitch gives an opportunity for any runner on 3rd base to advance home. Wilkerson from the windup, the 1-1 pitch to Peters. Up and away for ball 2, 2-1 to count now to Ranger. Talon Ball on deck for the Eagles. Should Brady Peters extend the inning? Wilkerson takes his time and now back on the rubber. Gets a sign from Parker Smith, the 2-1 pitch. Low and inside. Parker Smith, a good block there that kept Faltasek down at 3rd base. And now a 3-1 count to Brady Peters. Peters back in for the right side. 3 balls, 1 strike with 2 outs and a runner at 3rd base. Wilkerson from the windup, the 3-1 pitch. Peters takes it on the outside corner for a called strike. And now a full count to the 3rd baseman, Brady Peters. Wilkerson back on the rubber, gets the sign from Parker Smith. The payoff pitch to Peters. Outside, ball four, a 2-out walk, has runners on the corners. Here in the top of the third for your Georgetown Eagles. The first walk of the ball game for Wilkerson, and now Talon Ball will step in with runners on first and third and 2 outs. Talon Ball 1 for 1 in the ball game. Had a 2-out single in the first inning, stole second base, advanced on the throwing error by the catcher Parker Smith. The third base was left stranded there. So now Talon Ball will step in with runners on the corners and 2 outs. Wilkerson back to the stretch with Peters at first base. Fault to second, third. Peters leads off first. Uribe will hold him on there. Fault to second, leads off third base. Talon Ball in from the right side as Wilkerson comes set in the stretch. The first pitch to Ball, outside corner, called strike one. Talon Ball takes his time, now gets set back in the right side. Wilkerson looks in and gets the sign from Parker Smith. Comes set in the stretch and looks over at first base. The 0-1 pitch to Talon Ball, up and away, ball one. The next pitch will be the 20th of the inning for Jackson Wilkerson. Talon Ball back in from the right side. Fault to second, leads off third. Brady Peters off first. Wilkerson comes set. The 1-1 pitch to Talon Ball. Down and in the turf. Gets away from Parker Smith. Here comes Faltasek. He'll get under the tag. No, he won't. He'll be tagged out there. It didn't get very far away from the catcher, Parker Smith. And Faltasek took the chance, came home, but got tagged out. So Talon Ball will start the top of the fourth, back at bat. But the Eagles go down here with no runs. On one hit, one error, and one runner left on base. After 2.5 innings, Georgetown 0, Lake Creek 0. More Eagle baseball after this on SHN.
The third inning of today's game is brought to you by Nathaniel Funk, your Leander Georgetown Edward Jones financial advisor at 1640 Highland Falls Drive, Suite 801, Leander, Texas 78641. Learn how he can help you with your financial goals. Visit edwardjones.com/Nathaniel Funk for more.
Back here at Mumford High School, Mumford, Texas, the host of the regional quarterfinal between the Lake Creek Lions and the Georgetown Eagles. We go to the bottom of the third. Lake Creek will bring up the 7, 8, 9 hitters, Wyatt Davis, Leighton Scott, and Parker Smith against Nolan Jondahl on the mound for the Eagles in his third inning of work. 17 pitches in the first, 10 in the second for Jondahl, 27 through 2. He's given up no hits, struck out 1. The first pitch to Davis. The breaking pitch stays high for ball 1. Wyatt Davis last night, 1 for 3 on the night, a single and 2 runs scored, was hit by a pitch. Takes the 1-0 pitch, inside corner, called strike 1. 1-1 count now to the DH, Wyatt Davis. Jondahl from the windup, gets the sign from Pernicka, the 1-1 pitch. Ground ball, fly ball, low, wow, what a play, Ranger! Snags the line drive at third base, oh baby. What a play there by Brady Peters. A nice line drive struck by Wyatt Davis. And Brady Peters dives to his right to the third base line and snags the line drive for out number 1, L5 in the book. To retire Davis, and that'll bring up Leighton Scott, the left fielder. Scott from the right side steps in. The first pitch, the breaking pitch in there for a called strike from Nolan Jondahl. A great defensive play there by Brady Peters. If that gets past him, that's at least a double for Wyatt Davis, if not a triple. The 0-1 pitch, a swing and a miss on the breaking pitch. An 0-2 count now to Leighton Scott, the left fielder. Wears number 18 as he steps back in for the right side. 1 out here in the bottom of the third. Jondahl from the windup, the 0-2 pitch. Breaking pitch fouled off down the third baseline. Scott does a good job of fouling that one off and staying alive in the at-bat. No balls and 2 strikes. John Dahl from the windup, the 0-2 pitch. Ground ball hit out to short. Hellman fields it. He'll make the throw across the diamond in time for out number 2. 6-3 on the putout to retire Scott. And that'll bring up the number 9 hitter in the Lions lineup. That's number 23, the catcher, Parker Smith. 2 outs here in the bottom of the third. With bases empty as Smith steps in, the number 9 hitter for the Lions. In game number 1, Smith was 0 for 2, struck out twice, walked once. As he steps in here with the bases empty and 2 outs, John Dahl from the windup. The first pitch to Smith. The ball sent into center field. Devin Peterson a few steps back, settles under it, makes the catch for out number 3. F8 in the book to retire Smith and the Lions here in the bottom of the third. And after 3 complete innings, we're still scoreless, 0-0. More Eagle baseball after this on SHN.
This broadcast of Georgetown Eagles playoff baseball on SHN Sports is brought to you through the generosity of an anonymous donor. Our most sincere thanks go out to this donor. We would also like to thank Mesquite Creek Outfitters, Pokey Joe's, Ideal Signs, and DL Printing for their sponsorship of Eagles baseball. A special thanks goes out to the Georgetown Baseball Boosters. Your support of these broadcasts is greatly appreciated.
We're back here at Mumford High School, the Mumford Mustangs. Beautiful complex here at Mumford, Texas. As the Georgetown Eagles come up to bat here in the top of the fourth. We're in game number 2 of this regional quarterfinal matchup between the Lake Creek Lions and the Georgetown Eagles. We go to the top of the fourth, scoreless, only 2 hits in the ball game. Georgetown with 2 singles. A big, nice pitching duel going on here between Jackson Wilkerson and Nolan John Dahl. Wilkerson takes the mound for the top of the fourth to face off against the 3, 4, and 5 hitters. First pitch to Talon Ball. Almost hit him. It's in there for ball 1. Talon starts off the inning as he was left at bat on the last out of the inning at home plate. A 1-0 pitch. Catches the bottom half of the strike zone for a called strike. 1-1 now the count to Talon Ball. He's 1 for 1 in the ball game. Singled in the first and left stranded at third base. Steps back in to lead off the top of the fourth. The 1-1 pitch from Wilkerson. Low and outside, ball 2. 2-1 the count to Talon Ball, the second baseman. Riley Leininger and Eli Hellman also due up here in the top of the fourth for Georgetown. Wilkerson from the windup, the 2-1 pitch. Ball holds his swing. And a check down to first base, and he said he went. And so that'll even up the count at 2-2 now. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Talon Ball as he leads off the top of the fourth here for Georgetown. Wilkerson gets the sign from the windup, the 2-2 pitch. Outside, ball 3, a full count here for Talon Ball. 20 pitches thrown in inning number 3, 53 thrown by Wilkerson through 3 innings. As he works his 4th inning here for the Lions. From the windup, the payoff pitch to Talon Ball. Talon Ball hits a ground ball down the third baseline, but foul. Stays alive in the at-bat. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Not much of an effort there by Coach Vieira to field that ground ball. He lets it trickle down the left field line. Talon Ball steps back in for the right side. Wilkerson back on the mound. Looks in and gets the sign from Parker Smith. The 3-2 pitch. And swing and a miss, strike 3. Talon Ball strikes out for out number 1, the 7th of the ball game for Wilkerson. And that'll bring up the left-handed hitting first baseman, Riley Leininger. He's 0 for 1 in the ball game. Struck out looking in the first inning. Steps in here with 1 out, and the base is empty in the top of the 4th. Wilkerson from the windup. The first pitch to Leininger. Misses inside for ball 1. Wilkerson works from the third base side of the rubber in the windup. Looks in and gets the sign, the 1-0 pitch. Leininger a swing and a miss, strike 1. 1-1 to count to Riley Leininger. 1 out here in the top of the 4th. A 0-0 score. And a beautiful pitcher's duel through 3 complete. The 1-1 pitch to Leininger. Breaking pitch in there for a called strike. 1 ball and 2 strikes now to Riley Leininger with Eli Hellman on deck. Wilkerson back on the mound. Gets the sign. 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss as Leininger chased the high heater for out number 2. 8th strikeout of the ball game for Wilkerson. And in steps Eli Hellman. He's 0 for 1 in the ball game. He struck out looking in the 2nd inning. Steps in here with 2 outs, and the base is empty for Georgetown in the top of the 4th. Wilkerson gets the sign. The first pitch to Hellman. Outside corner. Breaking pitch, catches it for a called strike. 0-1 the count to Eli Hellman. Jackson Rainey waits on deck. Should Hellman extend the inning? Wilkerson, the 0-1 pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 2. Hellman back in from the right side. Wilkerson, the 0-2 pitch. Strike 3, swing and a miss. The Eagles struck out in order. Here at the top of the 4th, the 9th strikeout of the ball game for Jackson Wilkerson to retire the Eagles here in the top of the 4th. After 3.5, Georgetown 0, Lake Creek 0. More Eagle baseball on SHN after this.
The Morrow from Morrow broadcast booth is sponsored by our friend and longtime supporter Matt Morrow at borrowfrommorrow.com. Matt Morrow and his team is dedicated to providing the best mortgage experience possible by offering easy-to-use mortgage tools, including our handy mobile app, competitive rates, and assistance from a certified mortgage advisor. Matt understands the local markets, has access to a wide variety of loan programs, and is ready to guide you through the process. Your family, your future, our focus. For your mortgage needs, remember Matt Morrow, Borrow from Morrow. For more information, visit borrowfrommorrow.com. NMLS number 464148.
Back here at Mumford High School, we go to the bottom of the 4th. The Lake Creek Lions will bring up the 1, 2, and 3 hitters in the lineup. Wiederhold, Kennedy, and Brown. As Nolan Jondal takes the mound to work in his 4th inning here in the ballgame. 35 pitches through 3 innings for Jondal, as he's faced the minimum number of batters here in the ballgame, as he's retired the Lions in order in each of the 3 innings. And now Austin Wiederhold will step in to lead off the top of the 4th, 0 for 1 in the ballgame. Grounded out to Talon Ball back in the 1st inning. We'll step in here to lead things off in the bottom of the 4th for the Lions. Jondal from the windup. The first pitch to Wiederhold. Outside corner called strike 1. Wiederhold back in. Jondal gets the sign, the 0-1 pitch. Misses for ball 1, 1-1 to count. The 1-1 pitch. Low and inside. They're going to say it hit Wiederhold. And I don't think the umpire was convinced it did, but Wiederhold sold it and takes off to first. And he reaches first base on the hit by pitch, the first base runner of the ballgame for the Lions. And that'll bring up James Kennedy's 0 for 1 as he flew out to Faltasek back in inning number 1. Wiederhold leads off first, held on by Leininger. For the first time in the game, Jondal throws from the stretch. The first pitch to Kennedy. He squares the bunt up high, and he bunts it down the first baseline foul. 0-1 to count. Coach Schramm gives the signs down at third base. Kennedy will step back in for the right side. Brady Peters up on the grass at third base, expecting the bunt here from Kennedy as Jondal comes set in the stretch. Throw over to first base. Wiederhold dives back in without a tag. Try to keep him close, expecting Kennedy to turn square to bunt again. 0-1 count here to Kennedy with the runner at first base and no outs in the bottom of the 4th. Jondal comes set. The 0-1 pitch, square to bunt, bunts it out in front of the mound. Nolan Jondal up with it to throw to first base in time. And the sac bunt by Kennedy is effective to move up Wiederhold to second base. One to 3 on the putout to retire Kennedy for round number 1. And that'll bring up the shortstop, Blake Brown. He struck out back in the 1st inning. One out and a runner at second base here in the bottom of the 4th. Jondal comes set, looks back at second base. The first pitch, nope. He turns towards second base. No throw there as Wiederhold back standing. Blake Brown back in from the right side, the shortstop for his second plate appearance of the ballgame. 0 for 1 in the game through this point. The first pitch from Jondal, and a line drive sent into center field. Devin Peterson's going to lay out, and it gets past him, and that's going to allow Wiederhold to score easily from second base as Jackson Rainey heads out to get it and throw it in, and the Lake Creek Lions strike first on a RBI double by Blake Brown. So a 1-0 lead for the Lake Creek Lions here. So that free pass on the hit by pitch comes back to haunt the Eagles as Wiederhold scores on the base hit by Brown. So now a runner at second base with 1 out. In steps Sam Lee from the right side. The first pitch, the big breaking ball over his head for ball 1. One ball, no strikes to count to Sam Lee. 1 out here in the bottom of the 4th. Lake Creek with 1 run on the board to take a 1-0 lead. Jondal comes set. The 1-0 pitch. Breaking pitch sent into center field. Peterson drifts to his left. He'll settle under it, make the catch for out number 2. Throws it in all the way to Peters at third base. Blake Brown does not advance, and so out number 2 recorded at F8 in the book to retire Lee. And that'll bring up the first baseman, Ethan Uribe. He's 0 for 1 in the ball game on a fly out to center field back in inning number 2. Steps in here with 2 outs and a runner at second base. So Uribe steps in from the right side. John Dahl from the stretch comes set. Brown leads off second base. The first pitch to Uribe. Stays high, ball 1. 2 outs here in the bottom of the 4th. 1-0 as Lake Creek has pushed one across to take the first lead of the ball game. Blake Brown, the RBI double down at second base. Ethan Uribe back in from the right side. The 1-0 pitch from John Dahl. Fisted out towards second base. Talon Ball drifts back and makes the catch for out number 3. And the Lions are retired here in the bottom of the 4th. But not before they pick up 1 run on 1 hit. No errors and a runner left on base after 4 complete innings. Lake Creek 1, Georgetown nothing. More Eagle baseball after this on SHN.
This broadcast of Georgetown Eagles playoff baseball on SHN Sports is brought to you through the generosity of an anonymous donor. Our most sincere thanks go out to this donor. We would also like to thank Mesquite Creek Outfitters, Pokey Joe's, Ideal Signs, and DL Printing for their sponsorship of Eagles baseball. A special thanks goes out to the Georgetown Baseball Boosters. Your support of these broadcasts is greatly appreciated.
And we're back here at Mumford High School in game number 2. The Lake Creek Lions take a 1-0 lead. They put 1 across in the bottom of the 4th and lead game number 2. 1-0 as Jackson Rainey steps in to lead off for the Eagles here in the top of the 5th. Jackson Wilkerson through 4 innings has allowed 2 hits, struck out 9, walked 1. As Rainey leads it off here in the top of the 5th for Georgetown. First pitch low, but called strike 1. Rainey 0 for 1 in the ball game, struck out swinging in the 2nd. The 6, 7, and 8 hitters due out. Rainey, Herrera, and Pernica for the Eagles. Wilkerson from the windup, the 0-1 pitch. Breaking pitch stays high, ball 1. 1-1 to count now to Jackson Rainey, the left fielder. Reese Herrera on deck. Chance Pernica in the hole for the Eagles here in the top of the 5th. Wilkerson's 1-1 delivery. Rainey lays off and takes it across the bottom part of the zone for a called strike. 1-2 the count. Rainey back in from the left side. 1 ball, 2 strikes the count as he leads off the top of the 5th. The 1-2 pitch. A swing and a miss. Strike 3. 10th strikeout of the ball game for Wilkerson. 1 out here in the top of the 5th, and that'll bring up Reese Herrera. He struck out looking in the 2nd inning. Steps in here 0 for 1 in the ball game. Herrera, the junior designated hitter, will step in from the right side with the bases empty and 1 out. 67 pitches through 4 innings for Wilkerson. He works here in the top of the 5th. First pitch to Herrera. Misses the outside corner for ball 1. I want to know the count to the junior designated hitter. Herrera back in. Wilkerson from the windup. The 1-0 pitch. Down low, ball 2. Georgetown Lady Eagles advance to the regional finals with a 2-game sweep. The Santa Fe Indians earlier here at Mumford High School in the softball field just behind us. The 2-0 pitch from Wilkerson. Swing and a miss, strike one. To Reese Herrera with one out here in the top of the 5th. Herrera back in. Wilkerson from the windup. The 2-1 pitch. Fouled off back to the screen. And now the count goes even at 2 balls and 2 strikes to the DH Herrera. Herrera back in. Wilkerson gets the sign from Smith. The 2-2 pitch. And Herrera sends it into right field. Kennedy ranges over and back, and he'll make the catch for out number 2. F9 of the book to retire Herrera. And that'll bring up the number 8 hitter, the catcher, Chance Pernicka. He popped out to the shortstop back in inning number 3. Steps in 0 for 1 in the ball game with 2 outs and the bases empty here in the top of the 5th. As the sun sets, the mosquitoes fly here in Mumford, Texas. Pernicka now ready and steps in from the right side with 2 outs, bases empty. Wilkerson from the windup, the first pitch of the at-bat to Chance Pernicka. Stays just high for ball 1. A 1-0 the count to Chance Pernicka with Jacob Faltasek, the number 9 hitter, on deck for Georgetown here in the top of the 5th. Should Pernicka be able to get on base and extend the inning? The 1-0 pitch. Fouled off back to the screen and up off the roof. And it comes back down. 1-1 now the count to Chance Pernicka. Pernicka back in from the right side. Wilkerson looks in and gets ready. The 1-1 pitch. The big bender stays just high through the zone. 2-1 now the count to Chance Pernicka. Pernicka back in. Wilkerson from the windup. The 2-1 pitch. And Pernicka sends a fly ball into shallow left field. Leighton Scott comes charging in, and he'll make the catch on the run for out number 3. F7 in the book to retire Pernicka and the Eagles here in the top of the 5th. No runs, no hits, no errors. Nobody left on after 4.5 innings. Lake Creek 1, Georgetown 0. More Eagle baseball after this on SHN. Here at Mumford High School, we go to the bottom of the 5th inning. Lake Creek a 1-0 lead here in game number 2 as they bring up the 6, 7, and 8 hitters. Pugh, Davis, and Scott due up here in the bottom of the 5th inning with a 1-run lead. Lake Creek, 1 run on 1 hit, no errors or 2 errors in the ball game. Georgetown, no runs, 2 hits, no errors. We go to the bottom of the 5th. Samson Pugh, 0 for 1 in the ball game. Popped out to the catcher, Pernicka, in foul territory back in the 2nd inning. Leads things off here in the bottom of the 5th. First pitch, inside corner, called strike 1. 0-1 the count to the third baseman, Samson Pugh. Wyatt Davis, the DH on deck. Leighton Scott in the hole. The 0-1 pitch. Breaking pitch in there for a called strike 2. 0-2 the count now to Pugh. Here in the bottom of the 5th, leading things off for the Lions. The 0-2 pitch from John Dahl. And a ball popped up right side. Baltasek couple of steps to his left, and he'll settle under it for out number 1. F9 in the book to retire Pugh. And that'll bring up the DH, number 8, Wyatt Davis. He's 0 for 1 in the ball game as he lined out to Brady Peters at third base. Back in the third inning. Steps in here with 1 out and the base is empty in the bottom of the 5th. John Dahl from the windup, the first pitch to Davis. Ball hit into left field. That's a base hit. Jackson Rainey up with it, and Wyatt Davis will stay put at first base with a 1-out single. The second hit of the ball game for the Lake Creek Lions will bring up the left fielder, Leighton Scott. He grounded out back in inning number 3 to the shortstop Hellman, 0 for 1 in the ball game. Steps in here with 1 out and a runner at first base. John Dahl from the stretch comes set. The first pitch to Scott, swing and a miss, strike 1. Oh, 0-1 to count to the left fielder, Leighton Scott. A runner at first base, a 1-out single by Wyatt Davis. He leads off, held on by Leinegers. John Dahl comes set in the stretch, the 0-1 pitch, ground ball down the first baseline. Leineger lays out and snags it, but in foul territory. Now the count 0-2 to Leighton Scott. John Dahl comes set. Throw over to first base. And Wyatt Davis dives in under the tag. 0-2 the count to Leighton Scott with 1 out and a runner at first base. Now the crowd is going absolutely quiet for both sides. John Dahl comes set. Throw over to first base. Davis back in there, diving in. 45 pitches through 4 innings for John Dahl. Currently at 51 as he comes set in the stretch. The 0-2 pitch as the runner's off. Outside for a ball. The throw down, not in time. As Wyatt Davis still second base. First stolen base of the night for the Lions, and now a 1-2 count to Leighton Scott, the runner in scoring position at second base, and 1 out here in the bottom of the 5th. John Dahl, a long look in, gets the sign and comes set in the stretch. A look back at second base. The 1-2 pitch. And a ball flared down to first base. Leineger fields it, but then loses it. And Wyatt Davis advances to third, and Leighton Scott reaches on an error. First error of the night for the Eagles. As runners on the corners now for the Lions here in the bottom of the 5th. E3 there will bring up Parker Smith, the catcher. He's 0 for 1 in the ball game. Flew out to center field back in the 3rd inning. John Dahl will come. He'll take time. Pernica takes time, and he'll go out and visit with Nolan John Dahl on the mound. 1 out here in the bottom of the 5th. Lake Creek put up 1 in the bottom of 4th, and threatening here in the bottom of the 5th with runners on the corners. A 1-out single by Wyatt Davis to left field. He stole second base and advanced on a ground ball hit by Leighton Scott that was misplayed at first base by Riley Leineger. Let Scott reach first, and now runners on the corners with 1 out. The number 9 hitter, Parker Smith. And as soon as he settles in and we're ready to go, he calls time, steps out. Now the sign's given by Coach Schramm. Smith back in from the right side. Leineger will hold Scott on at first base. Parker Smith squares the bunt. Brady Peters in at third base. The runner off. The pitch over the head of Parker Smith. But that'll allow Leighton Scott to get into scoring position as he doesn't draw a throw there on the second stolen base of the night for the Lions. Now runners at second and third. A 1-ball, no-strike count to Parker Smith. Smith steps in from the right side. Coach Vieira will move the infield in. The corner's up near the grass. Now Talon ball about 2 steps off the grass. The 1-0 pitch. Bender just misses inside. 2-0 the count. Parker Smith. 1 out, runners on second and third for the Lions here in the bottom of the fifth, threatening for more runs as they lead it 1-0. John Dahl comes set in the stretch, the 2-0 pitch. Swing and a miss, strike one. 2-1 the count now to Parker Smith, the number 9 hitter for the Lions. On deck, Austin Wiederholt, second baseman for the Lions. Smith back in for the right side. John Dahl gets the sign and comes set in the stretch. Smith squares the bunt, shows the bunt. The 2-1 pitch, he'll lay off and take it up and outside for ball 3. And now a 3-1 count to Parker Smith, the catcher. Game number 2, this best-of-3 series, Lake Creek. Game won last night. They win tonight. They advance to the regional semifinals. And Georgetown season comes to an end. Smith squares the bunt, the 3-1 pitch, and he pops it up. A little flare over second base into right field. It'll land in front of Faltasek. He'll come up, fire to the plate. The play at the plate is not in time. But Leighton Scott unable to advance from second base. So an RBI single by Parker Smith on the Texas Leaguer. And right there, the defense played up on the grass. It's one of those bugaboos. You play them up to try to cut the run on a ground ball. If they're back at normal depth, Talon Ball is able to get back and make that catch most likely for out number 2. And so now it's a 2-run lead for the Lions as Wyatt Davis scores on that RBI single by Parker Smith. Runners at first and second now. Third hit of the ball game for the Lions. But more importantly, the second run of the game. As Wiederholt steps in, he's 0 for 1 in the ball game. Was hit by a pitch and scored a run in the fourth, grounded out in the first. Courtesy runner at first base for the Lions, catcher Parker Smith. And that's going to be number 19. That is Davis Lee. Courtesy running for the catcher, Smith. Peters in on the grass at third base. The left-handed Wiederholt in from the left side, ready to go. John Dahl comes set, the first pitch to Wiederholt. The ball hit into left field. The line drive will be fielded by Jackson Rainey for out number 2, and the runners retreat back to first and second base. L7 in the book to retire Wiederholt. And that'll bring up James Kennedy. 0 for 1 in the ball game. Flew out to right field in the first, laid down a sac bunt back in the fourth inning to move the runner into scoring position. Steps in here with 2 outs, and runners on first and second. 2-0. Lake Creek leads it over Georgetown. John Dahl comes set in the stretch. The first pitch to Kennedy. The ball sent into right field. That'll be down. Nope, caught by Talon Ball for out number 3 as he drifts back into shallow right field. So L4 in the book for out number 3 to retire Kennedy and the Lions, but not before they pick up 1 run on 2 hits, 1 error, and 2 runners left on base. After 5 complete innings, Lake Creek 2, Georgetown 0. More Eagle baseball after this on SHN.
This broadcast of Georgetown Eagles playoff baseball on SHN Sports is brought to you through the generosity of an anonymous donor. Our most sincere thanks go out to this donor. We would also like to thank Mesquite Creek Outfitters, Pokey Joe's, Ideal Signs, and DL Printing for their sponsorship of Eagles baseball. A special thanks goes out to the Georgetown Baseball Boosters. Your support of these broadcasts is greatly appreciated.
Back here for the top of the 6th inning, Georgetown down to their, what will be their last 6 outs of the season if they can't come back in this one, as they're on the brink of elimination. Down 2-0 here in game number 2. The 9-1-2 hitters due up here in the top of the 6th. Faltasek, Peterson, and Peters. Faltasek steps in. He's 1 for 1 in the ball game. Singled back in the 3rd, stole second base, reached 3rd on an error, and was left stranded there, or got caught at home. Thought the ball got away from Parker Smith. He fielded it and tagged Faltasek at the plate. A bang-bang play for out number 3 to end the inning. First pitch from Wilkerson, the breaking pitch in there for a called strike. 0-1 the count. Wilkerson, through 5 innings complete, has allowed 2 hits, struck out 10, walked 1. He's thrown 81 pitches. The 0-1 pitch to Faltasek. Faltasek fouls it off back to the screen. 0-2 now the count. To the senior right fielder, Jacob Faltasek. Faltasek back in from the right side. Wilkerson gets the sign from the windup. The 0-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Out number 1 here in the top of the 6th. The 11th strikeout of the ball game for Wilkerson. And Devin Peterson will step up. He's 0 for 2 in the ball game. A ground out in the 1st, a strikeout in the 3rd as he steps in here with 1 out in the top of the 6th. The Eagles down to their last 5 outs in the season if they don't come back. In this one, trailing 2-0. Jackson Wilkerson from the windup. The first pitch to Devin Peterson. Just high for ball 1. 1-0 the count to the center fielder, Devin Peterson. 1 out here in the top of the 6th, and the base is empty. The 1-0 pitch. Down in the turf. Oh, my goodness. I've seen worse than that, and he calls it. He went around. So 1-1 the call. On the check swing, called strike. A 1-1 now to Peterson with 1 out here in the top of the 6th. Wilkerson from the windup, the 1-1 pitch. Up and away, ball 2, 2-1 the count. Wilkerson will get the sign, the 2-1 pitch to Peterson. Down in the turf, ball 3, 3-1 the count now to the leadoff man, Devin Peterson, with Brady Peters on deck. Wilkerson gets the sign, the 3-1 pitch. Low and inside, ball 4, a 1-out walk. The Eagles have a base runner here. In the top of the 6th inning, the second walk issued by Wilkerson in the ball game. And in steps the senior third baseman, Brady Peters, with 1 out and a runner at first base. Peterson 0 for 1 in the ball game, struck out in the 1st inning, walked and left stranded in the 3rd. Brady will step in from the right side with 1 out. Peterson leads off first base, held on by Uribe. Wilkerson from the stretch comes set. First pitch to Peters, down low in the turf. Good scoop by Smith there. 1-0 the count to Brady Peters. .90 pitches in the ball game for Wilkerson to this point, through 5 1/3 innings. As he'll come set in the stretch. Peterson leads off at first. Uribe holds him on. The 1-0 pitch to Peters. Stays up and away for ball 2. 2-0 the count here. As shortstop Blake Brown, Uribe will come in. Now go to the mound to talk to Wilkerson. Settle him back in. Two balls, no strikes to Brady Peters with 1 out. Here in the top of the 6th, Georgetown trails it 2-0. Devin Peterson reaches on a 1-out walk. He'll lead off first base. Uribe holds him on there as Wilkerson gets the sign from Smith and comes set in the stretch. The 2-0 pitch. Sails high, ball 3. 3-0 now the count to Brady Peters with one out here in the top of the 6th inning. Georgetown trying to scrap back into this one. One run in the bottom of the 4th for Lake Creek. They have put one more on in the bottom of the 5th, lead it 2-0. Wilkerson will come set in the stretch. The 3-0 pitch. Down low, ball 4, back-to-back walks, has runners on first and second for the Eagles here in the top of the 6th inning. And that'll bring up Talon Ball. The 3rd walk of the night for Wilkerson. As Talon Ball will step in, 1 for 2 of the ball game. A single and left stranded in the 1st, struck out swinging in the 4th. And now Devin Peterson down at second base, Brady Peters at first. With one out here in the top of the 6th. Mighty Mouse steps in from the right side. Riley Leininger on deck for the Eagles. Wilkerson stays in the stretch. Uribe up on the grass in front of Brady Peters at first base, about 5 feet. Wilkerson will come set. The first pitch to Talon Ball. Stays high, ball 1. And now there'll be a visit out of the Lake Creek dugout by Coach Schramm. We'll take a timeout with them. More Eagle baseball after this on SHN.
This call to the bullpen is brought to you by Nathaniel Funk, your Leander, Georgetown, Edward Jones financial advisor at 1640 Highland Falls Drive, Suite 801, Leander, Texas 78641. Learn how he can help you with your financial goals. Visit edwardjones.com/Nathaniel Funk for more.
Now we go to the call to the bullpen for the Lake Creek Lions. Coming into pitch will be Jack Haig, number 20, the senior right-hander. Comes on a relief of Jackson Wilkerson. Wilkerson pitched one heck of a ball game, 5 1/3 innings. He throws 94 pitches. He's allowed 2 hits, struck out 11, walked 3, and he is responsible for the runners on first and second base. And now Haig will take over with a 1-ball, no-strike count to Talon Ball. Got the correction there. It is number 20. That is Jack Hagg, the relief pitcher. Jack Hagg on the mound. 1-ball, no strikes to Talon Ball with 1 out. Runners on first and second. Hagg will come in and inherit the runners at first and second base and work out of the stretch to Talon Ball. Hagg looks back towards second base. The first pitch to Ball is on the inside corner for a called strike. 1-1 the count now to Talon Ball. Devin Peterson leads off second base. Brady Peters off first. The 1-1 count. Fouled off, out of play down the first baseline, and now Talon Ball behind in the count. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Jack Hagg comes on in relief here with 1 out in the top of the 6th. A beautiful ball game pitched by Jackson Wilkerson for the Lake Creek Lions. Right now he's in line for the win. Should Lake Creek hold on to this lead and win the ball game. Hagg will come set in the stretch. Look back at second base, the 1-2 pitch. Breaking ball fouled off, back out of play down the first baseline. And Talon Ball stays alive, 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 the count to Talon Ball. 1 out. Runners at first and second for Georgetown here in the ball back in from the right side. Peterson leads off second. Peters off first. Hag comes set. The 2-2 pitch. Talon Ball holds his swing and takes it low in the turf for ball 3, and now a full count to Talon Ball with the bases, runners on first and second, and 1 out here in the top of the 6th. Georgetown trying to get back into this one. Trails by 2-0 here in the top of the 6th. 1 out. Jack Hag came on in relief to face Talon Ball. He inherited a 1-0 count. Now it's a 3-2 count. The payoff pitch in there. Strike 3 called, and Talon Ball down for strike out number 2. A big strikeout for Hag in relief to get the second out of the inning of Georgetown, and in steps Riley Leininger. Leininger will step in. He's 0 for 2 in the ball game, 2 strikeouts. So he steps in here with runners on first and second and 2 outs. Hag stays in the stretch, looks in and gets a sign from Smith. Now he'll step off and ask him to go back through the signs. Leininger steps out. Now back in from the left side. Peterson off second. Brady Peters off first base. Hag comes set in the stretch. The first pitch to Leininger. Leininger, a big swing and a miss. Strike 1. Hag with the long look in. He'll get the sign from Smith and comes set. The 0-1 pitch to Leininger. Miss on the bottom half of the strike zone. Wow, called strike 2. 0-2. Now the count to the junior first baseman, Riley Leininger. The Eagles need some help here. Down by 2. An 0-2 count to Leininger with 2 outs in the top of the 6th. The 0-2 pitch. Outside corner just misses for ball 1. As Hag and some of the Lake Creek Lions are ready to jet off the field there, but now a 1-2 count. A brave take on that outside pitch by Leininger. 1-2, now the count with 2 outs. Runners at first and second. Hag will step off. Get reset on the mound. Hag gets the sign and comes set. The 1-2 pitch. Leininger swinging a miss, strike 3. And the Eagles are down here in the top of the 6th. No runs on no hits, no errors. 2 runners left on after 5.5 innings. Lake Creek 2, Georgetown nothing. More Eagle baseball after this on SHN.
The Morrow from Morrow broadcast booth is sponsored by our friend and longtime supporter Matt Morrow at borrowfrommorrow.com. Matt Morrow and his team is dedicated to providing the best mortgage experience possible by offering easy-to-use mortgage tools, including our handy mobile app, competitive rates, and assistance from a certified mortgage advisor. Matt understands the local markets, has access to a wide variety of loan programs, and is ready to guide you through the process. Your family, your future, our focus. For your mortgage needs, remember Matt Morrow. Borrow from Morrow. For more information, visit borrowfrommorrow.com. NMLS number 464148.
And we go to the bottom of the 6th inning. Nolan Jondal on to work his 6th inning here in the ball game. He's only thrown 60 pitches through 5. Giving up 3 hits, 2 runs, 1 strikeout. The Eagles have made 1 error on defense. And in steps the number 3 hitter, Blake Brown. He's 1 for 2 on the night. Struck out in the first, an RBI double in the 4th inning, as he will lead things off in the bottom of the 6th for the Lions. They lead it 2-0 here in game number 2. The Lions. First pitch up and in. Blake Brown gets out of the way and takes it for ball 1. Lions an inning and a half away from advancing. If they can keep Georgetown scoreless through the top of the 7th. The 1-0 pitch from Jondal. That breaking pitch misses. Coach Vieira not happy there as he steps out of the dugout to give a earful to the home plate umpire. 2-0 pitched on the inside corner. Called strike one. 2-1 that count. Now to Blake Brown. Sam Lee, Ethan Uribe due up here in the bottom of the sixth for the Lions. The 2-1 pitch. Outside corner called strike two as Blake Brown checked his swing. Took it for a strike. Now a 2-2 count to the leadoff man here in the bottom of the sixth for the Lions. John Dahl gets the sign from the windup. The 2-2 pitch. High and inside for ball three and a full count to the shortstop, Blake Brown. The payoff pitch from John Dahl. Misses inside for ball four, a leadoff walk. Blake Brown is down at first base, the first walk of the ball game by Nolan John Dahl. And in steps Sam Lee. He's 0 for 2 in the ball game. A ground out in the second, a fly out in the fourth. So he steps in here with no outs. And a runner at first base in the bottom of the sixth. Brown will lead off first. Leininger holds him on as John Dahl comes set in the stretch. First pitch to Lee. Popped up left side of the infield. Eli Hellman retreats into shallow left field. He'll give way, and Jackson Rainey on the run has the better angle and takes the catch for out number one. F7 in the book to retire Sam Lee. And that'll bring up Ethan Uribe. He's 0 for 2 in the ball game. Fly out to center field in the second inning. Line out to the second baseman. Back in inning number 4. Steps in here with one out and a runner at first base. Uribe, the first baseman, number 24, steps in from the right side for the Lions. John Dahl comes set in the stretch. The runner off on the pitch. Strike, the throw down from Pernicka. And a tag, ball jumps out of the glove after the slap tag. Looked like it was on the inside corner, and it was. It's a strike call on Uribe. As Brown still second base. So runner in scoring position, 0-1 count to Uribe. Third stolen base by the Lions. Uribe back in for the right side. John Dahl gets the sign from Pernicka and comes set in the stretch. The 0-1 pitch. Ball line drive into center field. Devin Peterson right there, and he'll make the catch for out number 2. Blake Brown can't move anywhere. L8 in the book to retire Uribe. And in steps Samson Pugh, the third baseman. He's 0 for 2 in the ballgame. Popped out to the catcher in foul territory in inning number 2. Flew out to fault to second, right field in the 5th inning. Steps in here with 2 outs and a runner on second base. In the bottom of the 6th with a 2-0 lead. John Dahl comes set in the stretch. First pitch to Pugh. Breaking pitch, inside corner, called strike one. 0-1 to count to Pugh with 2 outs. Blake Brown leads off second base as John Dahl comes set in the stretch. The 0-1 pitch. Popped up right side of the infield. Pernicka gives chase into foul territory, but it's going to be on top of the awning. And now an 0-2 count to Samson Pugh, the third baseman. With 2 outs here in the bottom of the 6th. Blake Brown led off the inning with a base on balls. He stole second base. Stranded right there right now with 2 outs after a fly out by Lee and a line out by Uribe. Pugh back in for the right side. John Dahl comes set in the stretch. The 0-2 pitch. Down in the turf. Said he went around. Pernicka tags him, and that's out number 3. Second strikeout of the ballgame for John Dahl, and the Eagles get out of trouble here in the bottom of the 6th. No runs on, no hits, no errors, and 1 runner left on after 6 complete innings. Lake Creek 2, Georgetown 0. Eagles coming up in the top of the 7th, down to the last 3 outs of the season if they can't extend the ball game. Back with more Eagle Baseball after this on SHN.
This broadcast of Georgetown Eagles playoff baseball on SHN Sports is brought to you through the generosity of an anonymous donor. Our most sincere thanks go out to this donor. We would also like to thank Mesquite Creek Outfitters, Pokey Joe's, Ideal Signs, and DL Printing for their sponsorship of Eagles baseball. A special thanks goes out to the Georgetown Baseball Boosters. Your support of these broadcasts is greatly appreciated.
We go to the top of the 7th here in game number 2. Georgetown trails it by 2. They've got to put 2 across to keep this game alive and their season alive, as Lake Creek has the 1-game lead and a 2-run lead here in the game 2 with the last 3 outs for the Eagles as Eli Hellman leads it off. The 5, 6, and 7 hitters due up for Georgetown. Hellman steps in 0 for 2 in the ballgame. Jack Hagg on for his 2nd inning of work in relief. First pitch in there for a called strike. Hagg came in with 1 out in the top of the 6th inning. Threw 10 pitches, struck out 2 to get the Lions out of the inning. The 0-1 pitch to Hellman. Outside, off the plate. Checked down to first base. They said he did not go, so 1-1 to count to Eli Hellman. So he leads off the top of the 7th here for Georgetown, trailing by 2 in game number 2. Hagg gets the sign from the windup, the 1-1 pitch. Hellman, fly ball into left field. Scott retreats. He'll settle under it, and less than graceful make the catch for out number 1. That one kind of dove short on him, but he makes the catch for out number 1 to retire Hellman. And the Eagles down to their last 2 outs of the season here. As Jackson Rainey, the left fielder, steps in. He's 0 for 2 in the ballgame. Struck out in the 2nd and the 5th inning. Steps in here with 1 out and the base is empty in the top of the 7th. Hagg back on the mound, works on the first base side of the rubber in the windup. Gets the sign, the first pitch to Rainey. Rainey chopper out towards second base. Weeder hold up with it. He'll fire to first base in time to get Jackson Rainey for out number 2, 4-3 on the putout. And Georgetown down to their final out of the season as Reese Herrera will step in. He's 0 for 2 in the ballgame. Struck out looking in the 2nd. Flew out to right field in the 5th inning. And he'll step in here with 2 outs in the top of the 7th. Herrera, the junior designated hitter, steps in here as Jack Hagg on in relief for the Lions. Gets ready to go on the mound from the windup. The first pitch to Herrera. Low and outside, ball 1. Chance Pernicka, the senior catcher, on deck. Should Herrera be able to extend the inning for the Eagles? Hagg from the windup, the 1-0 pitch. Low and outside, ball 2. Two 2-0 the count to Herrera with 2 outs here in the top of the 7th. The Eagles 1 out away from being eliminated in the playoffs. The 2-0 pitch. Low and outside, ball 3. Herrera ahead in the count, 3 balls and no strikes. With 2 outs and the base is empty here in the top of the 7th. Hagg comes set in the stretch. The 3-0 pitch. On the outside corner, called strike 1. 3-1 count now to Herrera. He swats the mosquitoes and steps back in from the right side. Hagg switches it up and goes back to the stretch. From the first base side of the rubber, gets the sign from Parker Smith, comes set. The 3-1 pitch. And Herrera fouls it off his foot. Inside of his left ankle. 3-2 count now with 2 outs. Herrera Hobbles down the first baseline and circles back towards home plate. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs here in the top of the 7th. The Eagles 1 strike away from being eliminated here in the regional quarterfinals. Herrera down to visit with Coach Vieira. Try to get some of the sting to go away after he fouled that 3-1 pitch off the inside of his left ankle. Now Herrera approaches home plate, and he'll step back in from the right side. Parker Smith returns from the mound visit. Back behind the plate. Jack Hagg in the windup. Gets the sign. Now he'll step off. Gather back on the mound. Hagg from the windup. The payoff pitch. Down low in the turf. Ball 4. They check down to first base. Said Herrera did not go. So a 2-out walk gives the Eagles a base runner here in the top of the 7th. First walk issued by Jack Hagg. And that'll bring up the senior catcher, Chance Pernicka. Pernicka 0 for 2 in the ballgame. Popped out to the shortstop in the 3rd inning. Flew out to left field in the 5th. And he'll step in here. Now you're going to have a pinch runner for the designated hitter, Herrera, I believe, at first base. Looks like it'll be number 9, Noah Boris. And Boris will come on here as the pinch runner for Herrera. Down at first base. Pernicka has had a number of clutch base hits here in the playoffs. As the senior catcher steps in here in the top of the 7th with 2 outs and a runner at first base, trailing 2-0. Hagg will work from the stretch with the base runner. Over at first base, Uribe will hold him on. The first pitch is high for ball 1 to Pernicka. Jacob Faltasek on deck for the Eagles. Should Pernicka be able to extend the inning? 1-0 the count as Hagg looks in and gets the sign from Parker Smith. Comes set in the stretch. The 1-0 pitch. Up and in, ball 2. 2-0 the count now to Pernicka. Hagg will walk around the backside of the mound. Gather himself here after a 2-out walk to Herrera, and now a 2-0 count to Chance Pernicka. Hagg looks in and gets a sign from Parker Smith. Comes set in the stretch. The 2-0 pitch. High. Oh, top half of the zone. That's been called a ball all night. That one called strike 1. 2-1 now the count to Pernicka. Chance back in from the right side. Hagg back on the mound. The look in to Parker Smith. Gets the sign and comes set in the stretch. The 2-1 pitch. Pernicka pop fly ball in the shallow part of the infield. The shortstop Brown will field it for out number 3, and the Eagles are down here in the top of the 7. And that's the ball game, 2-0. Lake Creek wins it here in game number 2, and they advance to the regional semifinal over the Georgetown Eagles. Georgetown season comes to an end. 24-15-1 on the year. A young team that came back with only 1 full-time starter in the field. And they go to win a district championship, 13-1 overall, and then get to the 3rd round of the playoffs before being eliminated here by the Lake Creek Lions. Congratulations to Lake Creek as they improved to 25-9 on the year and advance to the regional semifinals. They'll take on the winner of Fulsher and LaPorte. That is right. And the next round, the Georgetown Eagles season comes to an end here at Mumford, Texas. We'll take a quick timeout. We'll go back and visit with Coach Jordan Vieira and wrap this one up. You're listening to Georgetown Eagle Baseball on SHN Sports.
This broadcast of Georgetown Eagles playoff baseball on SHN Sports is brought to you through the generosity of an anonymous donor. Our most sincere thanks go out to this donor. We would also like to thank Mesquite Creek Outfitters, Pokey Joe's, Ideal Signs, and DL Printing for their sponsorship of Eagles baseball. A special thanks goes out to the Georgetown Baseball Boosters. Your support of these broadcasts is greatly appreciated.
Back here at Mumford High School, we will not visit with Coach Vieira. He's enjoying the moments with his seniors on their last night in uniform here as their season comes to an end, 24-15-1. I tell you what, a team that not many knew what to expect out of. A young team with not a lot of returning seniors, a lot of returning players. But what a run they went on, and what a fun time it was to watch them achieve more than anyone expected, to win a district championship outright at District 23, 13-1 on that season. And just some fun guys to be a part of, to watch Eli Hellman as he graduates and moves on and plays at McLennan Community College next year. Jacob Faltis that goes on to Tarleton State. What a remarkable young man we got to follow through football and baseball. And you look at people like Brady Peters that came in, was a role player last year, and then came on to be one of the best leaders on this team all year long, running third base, a reliever out of the bullpen. And you talk about Maverick, Kyle Ropolo, and the job he did out of the bullpen. One, to keep the dugout up and going, but then when it was time to go, Kyle Ropolo, second to none, a dominant closer for this Eagle team, and did a great job this year. Nolan Jondahl, the starter tonight. What a phenomenal pitching performance through 6 innings, 71 pitches. Only allowed 3 hits and 2 runs, but a great finish to his career here at Georgetown High School as well. So congrats to these young men as they finish up a tough ending to the season. But Monday night, we'll be back to enjoy a celebration of these young men at the baseball banquet over at Dell's Ice House in Weir, and so an opportunity to celebrate these young men as we will join them at that banquet. Thanks for listening to us here on SHN. It's been a fun year. I love baseball and I love this Georgetown program. The last 2 years have been a blast to call it here on SHN. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for enjoying the ride with me. I have so much fun doing this, and I hope you guys enjoy listening in. But a rough ending tonight as they are eliminated in the regional quarterfinals by a talented and a good Lake Creek Lions team. And their season comes to an end 24-15-1 after the defeat tonight to the Lions. We'll wrap it up here for Mumford and call it a season. When we come back, the next time you'll see Kelly, Dave, and I, it'll be football time in Georgetown, Texas. Thanks for joining us on SHN. To our sponsors, thank you so much. To ATC Contractors, Inc., to Warren Law PC, and to the anonymous donor that brought you this round free of charge on SHN. Thank you to our sponsors, to everyone that helped make Eagle Baseball the best it could be this year. And thanks to Coach Vieira for allowing us access into that and to enjoy the ride with him and his team. And we wrap it up tonight here from Mumford, Texas. The Eagles fall at 2-0 and a 2-game sweep by the Lake Creek Lions, and the season comes to an end. We'll talk to you next time when it's be football time here on SHN. Thanks for joining us. Remember, it doesn't cost you a dime to be kind. Have a good night, everybody.
This broadcast of Georgetown Eagles playoff baseball.